Although he was inexperienced, Juan Pujol Garcia, a Spanish double agent codenamed Garbo, working with the Allies and against Nazi Germany, played an instrumental role in the preparation, execution, and aftermath of the Allied invasion of France, Operation Overlord. Because of his integral deception work and intelligence gathering, ultimately leading to the defeat of Nazi Germany by the Allied forces. World War II was a turning point in history because of the major social, political, and cultural changes caused by the global war. Among these changes, Europe's borders were adjusted. Germany itself was separated into a communist East Germany and a democratic West Germany. In 1936, Agent Garbo was a chicken farm manager at Linares del Valles. He had scheduled a trip to Mount Montseny with some of his friends, but on the scheduled day, July 18th, 1936, the Spanish Civil War broke out. The government called up all officers in the reserves, which included Garbo. He refused to report in and went into hiding. By the end of the war, Garbo had been on both sides without firing a single shot. On September 3rd, 1939, England declared war on Germany. His humanist beliefs did not allow him to ignore the suffering Hitler was causing, and he wanted to do something about it. Garbo got a passport and left Madrid for Portugal. One day in January 1941, he went to the British Embassy in Madrid to become a spy, but they ignored him. So Garbo decided that he would attempt to become a spy for the Nazis, and they hired him. He was provided a bottle of invisible ink, some secret codes, and $3,000. Once again, Garbo attempted to contact the British to provide them the information and was ignored, but he was still determined to continue his plan. He moved to Lisbon, armed with a Baedeker tourist guide to England, Bradshaw's railway timetable, and a large map of Great Britain, then sent his first message to the Germans in October of 1941. He sent 3 more messages, all made up, with a third saying that a convoy of 5 ships had left Liverpool for Malta, which was coincidentally true, eventually leading to the British finally allowing him to become MI5 counter-spy Garbo, and the Germans gaining a lot of trust in him, eventually becoming their top agent, Arbel. Although things were looking up for him, the Germans wanted more detailed information, which Agent Garbo would not be able to obtain from Lisbon. He was about to head home, but decided to give it one last try. He went to the American Embassy in Lisbon in early February of 1942 and was able to speak to the naval attaché. The attaché was instantly captivated, and within a few days, Garbo was boarding a ship bound for Gibraltar, and a couple of days later, boarding a plane bound for London. Once he arrived, he spoke with Tommy Harris, who was in charge of MI5's section dealing with counter-espionage and double agents, and finally became a British double agent. After having not sent the Germans anything for a few weeks, Garbo consulted various sections of MI5 and sent his first message with true information. Later on, with the help of MI5, Garbo began creating a large network of imaginary spies, eventually totaling up to 27 imaginary agents. The Germans believed this completely, as shown when they asked how one of Garbo's sub-agents missed an important event that anybody could have seen, and to which Garbo told them that the agent had died. They felt so bad about this that they sent the imaginary widow some compensation money. As time went on, Garbo's influence over German intelligence grew. This eventually led to him being given an Enigma machine, which had not yet been cracked by the British. It was placed in Garbo's headquarters, very close to MI5's headquarters, and the code was broken. His team even fed false information about the V-1s and V-2s bombarding London, eventually leading them far off course. And when the Germans installed trackers into some of the rockets, and the locations conflicted with the reports the agents gave, they believed Garbo's word over the technology. In January of 1944, the Germans believed that the Allies were preparing their invasion of Europe. They suddenly asked Garbo for any information regarding it. Thus began Garbo's most important task that would forever change the course of the world. Operation Fortitude, the deception plan that would disguise the Allies' true intentions regarding Operation Overlord, the Allied invasion of France. Starting in January and going through June 6, 1944, Garbo sent over 500 radio messages to the Germans, with no less than 4 a day. These transmissions not only concealed the true nature of their preparations, but also accomplished a much more important task, convincing the Germans that the actual invasion would occur in the Calais Pass, where Hitler believed it would occur. One major part of the deception dealt with ensuring that Germans believed that General Patton's so-called Ghost Army was real. With Garbo's help, they fell for the bait. On June 5th, Garbo warned the Germans that they would receive an urgent message after 3 o'clock, but when the time came, they were not listening. That message was going to announce, in essence, that D-Day was about to begin, providing many details. Due to no German listening in, the invasion had already begun, allowing Garbo to tell them all the information about the D-Day landings, and then said this: I am very disgusted in this struggle for life and death. I cannot accept excuses or negligence. I cannot swallow the idea of endangering the service without any benefit. Were it not for my ideals and faith, I would abandon this work as having proved myself a failure. After this, everything that Garbo sent was seen as of the utmost importance, thus allowing him to send what was most likely his most important message. On June 9th, 1944, he sent a transmission stating that Patton's army had not invaded and that the Normandy landings were a distraction for the upcoming invasion of the Calais Pass. The Germans trusted his word so much that they kept 2 armored divisions and 19 infantry divisions, a large chunk of their available resources, in the Calais Pass in anticipation of an invasion. This allowed for the Allies to get a foothold, and according to British intelligence, Garbo's intervention in the Battle of Normandy is what allowed for the invasion to be successful. Finally, on July 29th, Garbo received a message stating that Hitler was awarding him an Iron Cross, one of the highest awards usually only given to frontline combatants. Then, the British made Garbo a member of the Order of the British Empire, usually reserved for British people only, thus making him the only person to be honored by those on both sides of World War II. Ultimately, Agent Garbo's persistence in becoming a double agent led to many lives being saved, ranging from redirecting German rockets that were bombarding London to Allied soldiers in German-occupied France, cracking the code of the Enigma machine, the successful implementation of Operation Fortitude, leading to the successful implementation of Operation Overlord, and most importantly, the Allied victory over Nazi Germany.